they have manipulated us socially to believe that when you think of black people, you think of low quality. So it is part of my responsibility to make sure I don't compete with white people.
Yeah.
I think that I'm better.
I'm not sure I understand.
Okay, well, what's happening?
Siri just said, my phone was on silent. I swear to God. Make sure we got this on tape. Siri just said, I'm not sure I understand. It ain't for you to understand.
It ain't for you to understand. Siri, I was about to say the same thing, bro. It ain't for you to understand, Siri. Siri just said, oh, we want you to know we watching you.
Oh, man.
Boy.
It's evident that he cares. What do you care about? Welcome to the Rock Newman Show. It's the Rock Newman Show.
Greetings, beloved. I am Rock Newman, and this is another version of the Rock Newman Show 2.0. Several years ago, we were just trying to figure it out. I did an interview with our guest today, and I was explaining to him that I wasn't that aware of him. My producer, Avis, my producer and the backbone of this show, Avis, had told me about him. So we booked him. I had planned to do plenty of research, but whatever happened, I wasn't able to do the research. But we ended up at the table. He was the guest and I was the host that day. And from that day to today,
Yes.
that is one of the favorite interviews that I have done.
Millions of views. Millions of views.
He tells me that he liked that interview also. We're back together once again. David Banner,
Man.
thank you, brother, for
Thank
coming
you.
to see us at the Rock Newman Show
Thank you for
2.0.
having me.
It's
Thank you
love.
for having me. If you don't mind me saying, brother, it's my favorite interview that I've ever done. And
The interview you did with me?
yes, it's my favorite interview. It was in the beginning of me being able to pull my consciousness together. You know, I've always been an avid reader. I've always had I've had knowledge of self since around the 11th grade, 11th, 12th grade. I just couldn't pull it together. You know, coming from an impoverished area and going through the stuff that I was going through in Mississippi at the time as a young black man. But I was telling you before we started, like, man, at that time I was meditating and literally trembling. You know, my morals and my ethics were in line. And I think, you know, mentally, physically, spiritually, I had tapped into something. And I was uncomfortable, really uncomfortable with myself at that time. And to be able to put it all together at one time and sort of encapsulate it, if nothing else, before my future children, you know, to say that's where I was at the time. And your questions, you know, I guess maybe it was spiritual. Maybe it was beyond you and I.
Yeah.
You know, because I thought you had done, you know, probably the most research anybody had ever done on me. Because a lot of times when I do interviews, I'm not pushed. It's the same questions, and I usually have to take those questions and take them somewhere else. Like, I'll usually have in my mind where I want to go, and they can say, hey, David Banner, what color you have on? Yeah. Well, see the color, and then I'll go where I need to go. But, bro, that interview means so much to me, and I think that it's going to be more powerful in the future than it was the day that we recorded it.
Man.
Yeah.
That's an honor, brother. That is an honor to hear that.
Thank you.
Let's get started. I recently saw a video. Strangely enough, I was not researching when I saw this video of you. It popped up. I was doing TikTok.
Right.
And I saw this video of you pop up from recent times shortly after the tornadoes that ripped through Mississippi.
Right.
And you, in a very heartfelt way, were saying to folks, my people, these people, need help.
Right.
What's happening, y'all? It's David Banner. Anybody who listens to hip hop benefits off hip hop, blogs about, talks about, listens to hip hop. I need your help. My state has been hit with some terrible, terrible weather. And in the area of Rolling Fork, Mississippi, if you get an opportunity to look up Rolling Fork, Mississippi and see what has happened. I watched something very similar happen during Katrina to Pass Christian, Mississippi. A lot of people died. They need help, they need support, but they also need the light to be shined all over the world. So I need y'all to take this video, share pictures, share commentary, help in any way that you possibly can, because people need you right now. And people have used hip hop historically, for a lot of crazy reasons. This is an opportunity for us to keep the light on people that really, really need your help. Not just Rolling Fork, surrounding areas. They all need your help, and we need to keep the light on Rolling Fork and other areas just like it. It's Rolling Fork, Mississippi, y'all. The hashtag is going to be Rolling Fork Strong, to make sure that we keep our people strong and we keep this movement strong. Blog about it, talk about it, share videos and pictures to make sure everybody around the world knows what's going on in Mississippi. I need y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
What prompted you to do that?
Well, I remember there's a town called Pass Christian. It's in the coast of Mississippi. And that town was totally blew away during Katrina. Like literally, the whole town was decimated.
Gone.
Right, gone. And I remember being in these areas before even, the TV stations were able to get there. I knew somebody locally in town. He owned the local, Rip Daniels. He owns the local radio station, and he was able to get me in places that nobody was able to get into but the Army. And I saw some things that I couldn't wipe from my memory, even if I tried.
Couldn't unsee them.
And I remember seeing Pass Christian, and I remember watching the news and nobody talking about the coastal areas of Mississippi, Alabama, all of these places that really got physically hit by Katrina. So when I saw what happened in Rolling Fork, I was like, I already know what's gonna happen. We already don't get enough news coverage. And in America, people are encapsulated by what the news tells them. So our giving in most cases is connected directly to how much they see on TV and how much attention white news decides to shine on a particular event. But we forget that in a lot of cases, these are small towns who are not set up yet to even take that kind of money. They're not set up to react to that type of devastation. And then by the time that they are, most people didn't care in the first place and didn't want to give them that type of attention. So by the time they set up, the news is past them, 2 months ago.
Gone somewhere else.
So what I decided to do is to make sure that I was able to to shine the light on, just take what I've been able to accrue and just shine the light on, those, not just Rolling Fork, but those towns that were around. And there were some places in Alabama that was hit really hard. Just give some light to these towns who were unnamed and didn't get an opportunity to be spoken about, and just try to keep it going.
I think with many of us, our best selves are our humane selves. Mm-hmm. And so when we hear of a tornado, when we hear of a hurricane, when we hear of a flood, there's a certain empathy that is garnered. As much as I think that is true, I think it is true that those of us who genuinely care about our community, that genuinely care about Black people, mm-hmm. that caring increased, that empathy increased when we learned that these were, and let me just see if I got this right. Mm-hmm. Was that community majority African American?
Yes.
Okay. And I think our natural reaction, deservedly so, is they're not going to be treated in the same manner if it was a white community.
Right. Right.
You feel that way?
Of course. But where I am in my activism now, I said that I was going to get a trademark on this word, and we're working on it now. Dre, work on it now. That I don't call it white supremacy, because words have power. I call it white insecurity. I'm not really worried about white people anymore. I mean, I think our focus, because this is what I believe, Rod. I believe that as bad as what happened is, I believe that God sometimes gives us pain to push us in the right direction. We have an opportunity to take a clean slate and rebuild like we want to rebuild. We don't have to rebuild what was. We can rebuild into the future. We can get a group of Black developers and come in and build us a new town and allow the people who live there to be the foundation. We can bring in new skills. There's something that's called the Beam Path, where they're literally building a tech hub in Jackson, Mississippi right now. And we have an opportunity to push into the future. And I think that with what happened, we have an opportunity to develop our own community the way that we want to. It's just that we have to have the vision and we have to implement it, And so to a certain degree, in no way am I happy for what happened, but I am happy about the future to come, because I see something that I'm so very excited about. We have the numbers now. We have the youth that have the understanding of technology in a way that can help us build into the future. And we start taking care of ourselves, protecting, providing for, healing our own communities. So, it's terrible what's happening, but I really think our people are waking.
Man, I'm connecting that to a comment Dr. Cornel West. Saw something he said one day. No, I think he was at Howard University chapel. And he said, in spite of all the evidence, in spite of all what might be all the evidence to the contrary, I'm going to remain a prisoner of hope. So, one, I connect what you just said to that. Mm-hmm. And I want to ask something. It's kind of very, very obvious. I hadn't intended to, but the thought just came. You're wearing a black hat with gold embroidered lettering.
Right.
ABV, Urbana Vision.
Right.
The floor is yours. Tell me what Urbana Vision is, if I ain't getting too personal.
No, Banner Vision is a multimedia tech startup. Anything that has to do with the images of our people, I want to influence or control it. Especially as it pertains to science fiction, tech. I found out that 3 of the premier tech developers are actually from Mississippi, but 2 of them are from Jackson, Mississippi, where I'm from. And I had an opportunity to meet with them, and I changed my whole company. Like when it comes to movies, when it comes to commercials, when it comes to music, radio, television, whatever you can think about when it comes to our image. How can we connect that to tech, and how can we develop it for ourselves? I don't know if you remember me saying this, but there was a young lady who came in crying uncontrollably, and her dad said, "What's wrong, baby? What's wrong? What's wrong?" She said, "Are there going to be any black people in the future?" And he said, "Are there going to be any black people in the future?" She was like, "I was watching the Jetsons and I didn't see any." So what that prompted me to understand is that it's our responsibility to control our images. And that's what Urbana Vision is about, what Urbana Vision is for. And what I will ask everybody to do is to go and sign up at davidbanner.com. We have some tech developments. We have some projects that's coming up that I can't really talk about on the show yet, because what I'm starting to realize is that we wonder how our dreams are thwarted. It's because we snitch on ourselves. We tell the world before they've really been developed.
Yeah.
And so what I want to do is start up newsletters and start up communications with a certain group of people, because I think what happens, Rock, is that we have this kumbaya mentality, and we think that all black people are gonna come together. All white people didn't come together.
Yeah.
There's a group of white boys got together and created the Constitution, and they didn't even get to see that manifest in their time, but they set the foundation for it. Urbana Vision is setting the foundation for us to control the images that our people see, which what you see is what you think, and what you think is what will be developed in the future. So that's what Urbana Vision is.
Brother, let me tell you the image that dances in my head when you talk about Urbana Vision. I think you're the person for it.
I am the person.
You are the person.
We talked about that last time.
Thank you very
remember?
much. Thank you very much. Now, you just mentioned about you can't talk about it yet. On a recent interview I did, I talked about how John Johnson from Jet Magazine, Ebony Magazine, just chastised me and criticized me and said, he called me an MF. He said, you talk too much. And what it was about was I had exposed to the media in Dayton, Ohio, that I was the partner of the majority partner of these 2, along with these 2 white guys who seemed to have the rights to get a minor league baseball team. And when they thought it would be a great thing for Major League Baseball, especially a team ultimately that was controlled by Marge Schott from the Cincinnati Reds, to be able to clean up some of their racist history by saying, we have a majority partner for this baseball team that can help clean up some of the racism that Cincinnati Reds, had been painted with in a real way. We made an announcement of such, and I was telling Mr. Johnson from Jet and Ebony Magazine that I was going to have to sue them. He said, you should have kept your mouth shut and got the team first.
Right.
I respect what you're doing, but it reminds me what you're talking about, of being in the barber shop, going where my mama got her hair done, the bear joint where my brothers used to play baseball, and all other places and seeing a worn Ebony or Jet magazine, and the talking point was, if it ain't in Jet,
Right.
it ain't happened yet.
Right.
A banner vision, I heard you say, where you want to help control, where you want to control the imagery of our people and of our experiences. Brother, that's a, Dick Gregory, you used his term earlier. Dick Gregory used to lace his speeches with, we got a big job. That's a big job. Let us know how we can help you, brother.
Right, thank
when the time comes.
Thank you. It's funny, when I was walking in, I saw a picture of Harry Belafonte. And Harry Belafonte has been one of my my motivating factors, because he was an example of being successful in mainstream media, but still being a part or being laced in just about everything that was affecting. Like, I didn't know that he had, had a lot to do with Beach Street. Anything from We Are the World to Farm Aid, he had something to do with it. Yeah. I just watched him move around in a very silent way and touch media, touch music and movies and culture in a way that was definitely planned and moved it forward, And so for me, every time, Rock, I've tried to take the easy route. Right now, I'm reading The 50th Law with 50 Cent and Robert Greene. And one of the things that I'm learning is that every move that you make, has to be connected to ownership and power. I'm working with this consulting firm that's called Hayru Consulting. And that's one of the things that Dr. Andre Brown constantly pushes towards me, is just about making sure that no matter what move that we make at a Banner Vision, that we continue to have ownership be a part of it. Much too old to be working on somebody's plantation, even if the person who owns the plantation looks like me. I ran into this skin technology that I actually use. It's called Stacy Pearl. And I was watching what the young lady was doing. I had an opportunity to see her pitch, because she's just getting back from overseas. I watched her pitch in Philadelphia. I happened to be in Philadelphia. And what this young lady did by herself, with literally taking technology that she had learned from being a model, a runway model, overseas, and she's bringing this back to her people, plant-based technology when it comes to melanated skin. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's what a Banner Vision is supposed to be. Sleek, cool, moving into the future, but based in spirituality and knowing and understanding what we stand for. Like, really what we stand for. Because if you look at Black culture now, it's being affected, controlled, and policed by everybody but Black people. And that's something that we're going to change.
Knowing what we stand for. So somebody's probably thinking, what are you saying we stand for?
It's, for me, I don't want to. A lot of times we get on television and we give our opinions. I know one of the things that we're motivated by is the bag. And America is printing money. The paper that it's printed on is probably worth more than the value of it. So if the people who have historically oppressed you, if they're the ones that's printing the money and everything that you do is motivated by the bag or by money, then you're controlled. You're a prostitute. So we can never be free if money is our main motivator. And I'm not saying don't get money.
Yeah.
We plan on moving like 1,000 times over this year. So it's not about the money, because I believe if the plan is set, and what they say, that people perish because of lack of vision, if the vision is there, the people are going to follow, and along with their bodies is their pockets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's just a small part of it, but but
Purpose.
the money is going to come. Purpose, passion, and an opportunity to project where we want to go is what's important to us.
When we last talked, it was the God Box 1 was an important piece of our discussion. So I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
What did the whole God Box experience teach you?
I think it taught me that I have to stop living in fear. If I knew what I knew now, I would have promoted and pushed that album a little bit different. I will stand on the fact, and I told you this, that I believe the God Box 1 is possibly one of the best rap albums of all time. I honestly think the God Box 2 is a better album. Maybe not from an information standpoint, but I've learned something. Rock, you can have the dopest album in the world, and if it doesn't connect with the people, if the people are not getting it, if you're going over their head, or whatever the reason may end up being, it doesn't matter. Malcolm said by any means necessary. I don't believe that necessarily means war. It means that you do what you have to do as long as it doesn't compromise your man or womanhood, your spirituality, your purpose, and what you stand on and stand for. Then we have to do what it takes in order to lead, guide, and put our people in the positions that they need to be in. So I believe the God Box 2 is the album that is going to lead the people to the God Box 1 and the God Box 3. The God Box 1 to me was the God album. It was the past. It was that knowledge that we were connected to. It was being connected to the source, whatever you believe the source is. Through that middle passage and through the things that we went through, I think that we were disconnected from the source, from our culture, from our ethics and our ways, right? And the God Box 2 is where we are right now. You know, it's that disconnected lower self that's trying to find their way back to the source. And so I say the God Box album, the first one is God. The second album is where we are right now, but leaning towards the future. And I think the God Box 3 is the human album. It's God having an earthly experience. So if you put all of those albums together, imagine having God and then God going through the earth and going through all of that pain and tragedy and turmoil and then finding itself again. You know, it's that whole process. And the God Box 2 is also like the hero's story. Like, you know, you have the beginning and then you have the problem. And we are in the midst of living in the problem right now. I don't know if y'all feel this, man, but just something ain't right.
Yeah.
You know, something has changed.
Yeah.
And I've spiritually went through so much about putting this album out because a lot of people are going to think or believe, because if you look at a black man in America, a lot of times he can't even strategize. You can't even play chess. People want you to wear, you know, everything, your thoughts, your mind, they want you to put it on social media. They want every move that you make. And there's no way that we can strategize and effectively move forward if we're telling people our every step. So like with the God Box 2 is really me reconnecting with the people, speaking about my past and where I believe that we are today. You know, but I didn't calculate the effect that that was going to have on my spirit.
And what effect has it had?
It's been rough. You know, it's been rough mentally because I was in that spiritual space. So, you know, Baba Gregory, Dick Gregory always talked about once you put the glasses on, you can't take them off. So it was liberating.
That's a big job.
Right. It was liberating because not only do I don't want people to put me in the nigger box, I also don't want people to put me in the woke box. Like, I'm a child of God. God is everything. That's what I think people get it wrong. People try to say that God is good. God is everything. Anything that you can fathom, anything that is created on this earth, and certain people, certain groups of people try to take God for themselves and put God in a box. You know, so for me, I'm saying that I saw something that said God don't care if you got a degree. You know, we are all God's children, good, bad, or indifferent. And I think the God box is going to show that. The God box 2 is going to show that.
Man, whew, you know something? You say the God box 2 is going to show that. Part of what you are articulating here now is this living experience. You're talking about this living experience. Yeah. But as you contemplate God box 3, you're talking about getting back to the source, which means that there's a full circle. It's 360 degrees. As you contemplate getting back, I gotta ask you, as you contemplate 3, going through what you're going through now, do you have any sense at all? Are you fearful of 3? Are you crazy excited about 3? How do you feel knowing that part of your mission, and you already identified it, is to getting back to the source?
Right. It's a responsibility, Rock. I didn't plan on it being this heavy.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Once you put the glasses on, you can't take them off.
Yeah,
you can't unsee it.
Yeah, it's a heavy weight. And what I'll say to you, and most people I think would sit up here and act like they know, from what I've gone through with the God Box 2, I don't have, like right now, the God Box 3, I think it's going to be something that nobody is going to be really prepared for. All right, they're going to love the God Box 2. All right, they're going to love the God Box 2, but the God Box 3 is going to be something, I think that's going to be so far past music. I'm not even really sure if the God Box 3 is going to be music. You know, it may be an experience. You know, it may be something that's way past your ears. You know, I want to find a way to connect to our community and touch all senses. You know, even, you know, if you remember the first God Box, the actual God Box, I sprayed my cologne in every box because I wanted people to even, I wanted the smell to be aroused. I remember a girl walking up to me and she just started sniffing on me. It's like, I wanted to see if you really smell that way. And for me, visually, you know, from the touch, if you look at the fabrics that we use, the touch of the actual box, the way that it looks, that means something to me. Because whether people will admit it or not, they have manipulated us socially to believe that when you think of black people, you think of low quality. So it is part of my responsibility to make sure I don't compete with white people. I think that I'm better.
I'm not sure I understand.
Okay, well, what's happening?
Siri just said, my phone was on silent. I swear to God, make sure we got this on tape. Siri just said, I'm not sure I understand. It ain't for you to understand.
It ain't for you to understand. Siri, I was about to say the same thing, Rock. It ain't for you to understand, Siri. Siri just said, oh, we want you to know we watching you.
Oh, man. Boy. Okay. So you want to touch folks. As of late, we've been hearing a lot about the United States. America is a nation of laws. No man is above the law as a result of all that, the drama that has surrounded the orange skunk. We're a nation of laws.
Right.
There's some things that are going on. You made mention to, I don't even know if you were talking to somebody. I don't know if you knew I was paying attention. But you had started to discuss some laws that are taking place throughout the South.
Right. They're starting in the South and they're permeating all over the United States. There's a group of white politicians that got together. Some of them are part of the Tea Party, but that decided that they were going to get together and pass these outlandish bills. Just a bunch of them, just bum rush, these different states and Texas, Mississippi, Florida, and this big movement that they're having on attacking wokeness. And the funny thing about it is most of the stuff that these people talk about is what America was founded on. When the white people came over here, they came over here because they were not able to praise God in the way that they wanted to praise God. So they wanted the ability to have freedom. What America is really saying now is you have freedom and no man is above the law as long as you follow our laws, as long as you follow our religion. There's this law that was just passed in Mississippi that's called the HB 1310 law. It's the Voter Purge Bill. Well, literally, if you miss voting one time, they will put you on a list. And then if you miss it a second time, you lose your right to vote. I mean, it's things that you wouldn't imagine. HB 1020, where they're literally creating their own small, city, state, and government.
Their own fiefdom.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're
creating their own fiefdom in a community that is made up mostly of black folks who can't vote on what they're doing.
Exactly, on what they're doing. And literally, they have full range to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that we are so caught up. Nipsey Hussle said this one time, I never forget, if you would take care of the basic needs of black and brown people, you would literally watch them transform. People are inherently good people if they have basic things, food, water, shelter, able to heal themselves. So what they do is they take those things from us and make them so scarce that we can't pay attention to the things that are happening. So they're bombarding poor people with all of these different laws. But make sure that you guys go check out HB 1310 and HB 1020 in Mississippi, and then look in your state and look at the very similar laws that are being passed. How dare somebody tell black and brown people that they can't articulate what the same people who are telling you that they don't want that in their school, you did it. Like what we're talking about, you did. You enslaved us. You beat us. You did all of those things. We're waking up to what you did to us. It's funny. I'm reading Powernomics right now, and he said there's a difference between white people's racism and black people's prejudice. He said the difference between white people's racism and black people's prejudice is the reason why black people are prejudiced towards white people is because shit really happened to us. Yeah. Like that actually happened. You beat us. You did those things. Yeah. I'm not mad at you just because you're white.
Yeah.
I'm mad at you because you literally, excuse me, Rock, kicked me in the ass.
Yeah, my
ouch.
Yeah, that's my pain.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then you tell me that it makes your children or you feel uncomfortable because of what you did. Then you should go and do something about it. Yeah. Make it better. But people don't want to do that. And it's crazy, Rock, because I spoke at Tougaloo College a few days ago, and there was this young lawmaker, and he was so tired. Like, I could just tell. Like, most people, I'm talking about activists, didn't even know that this HB 1310, this voter purge bill,
Yeah.
they didn't even know that it had been passed. You know, so I'm trying to take my platform and just make sure that people are aware. You know, because I think once you give the information and the information is right and exact, then people will do the right thing.
So you've been a renaissance. You are a renaissance man.
Thank you.
You are a renaissance man. You've rapped, you've acted, you've done film, you've done the Hollywood piece.
All right.
Is there a role that you have performed that, two things. One, is there one that you regret doing, you wish you wouldn't have done it? And is there one that you would like put on your tombstone?
I don't regret much anymore. You know, the mistakes that we made, the mistakes are what make us into the people that we are. Like when we do the right thing, or we're blessed with certain things, you don't know who was praying for you. You don't know whether they thought you were sexy. You don't know if you don't know any of the reasons why, the esoteric things that happen that help that blessing come into fruition. So you can't duplicate that. But if you continue to make mistakes and document those mistakes, then you know what direction not to go into again, if you're a smart man or woman. So for me, I use my mistakes as the building block to create a map for not only me to travel, but for other people to travel. You know, think about when people go to, you know, lands that have never been touched before. They got to get bit by snakes and attacked and all of these different things, and then they're right on the map. The snake pit is right there. When you come, you know, don't go that way. And that's what I was telling you about a banner vision. I hope that by the time that my children are grown, that they won't understand, you know, the discrimination when it came to sci-fi movies and superhero movies, because they can come to Banner Vision and be whatever they want to be. You know what I'm saying? So I can, or we can make this map so that others can travel down that road. So for me, there's really not a movie that I wish that I wouldn't have done. I wish I would have known more. I wish I would have negotiated my contracts a little bit better. You know, because I'm learning that nobody can really screw you over. You only screw yourself by not knowing.
Yeah.
By not researching, by not investing in knowledge. So, no on that side. My favorite role I actually haven't done yet, but I am going to do it. I know that I'm going to do it. I want to play Medgar Evers.
Whoo!
Like that's my dream role. Like I'm going to do that. That's something that I'm going to do. If I have to pay for it, I'm going to do it. You know, the Medgar Evers story is so powerful, and it's one that I believe that the world should know. And there's something that happened to me in my first album, Mississippi the album. I'll tell it to you really quick. We were able to bring a lot of people from all over the world for the press junket in Mississippi. And a lot of people had never been to Mississippi. As a matter of fact, a lot of them were scared to come, right? So we took them out. That's when it first, you know, started a lot of the boats in Vicksburg and those different places. So we let them gamble, gave them, you know, chips and all that kind of stuff. But then we brought them to Medgar Evers' house. And one of the reporters on the bus said, "Why don't you ever smile?" So I shook it off. I didn't say anything. We went into Medgar Evers' house, we looked over it. And right before we left, I don't know if it was his niece or who it was, but the young lady said there's two things that you can't get off of concrete. It's oil and blood. And she poured some water on the ground, and his blood rose to the top of the concrete. Bone chilling. There was just a quiet, it's like the whole world had stopped, and just something spiritually, you know, because he was murdered in front of his family in cold blood, you know. And so when we got back on the bus, You know, it was almost like that's the reason why I don't smile. And I never forget that set the precedence for my first album, especially from media coverage, as far as media coverage is concerned. So like that's my dream role. You know, I won't even call it a dream role. That's the role that I want to.
You got to do it because I done mentally put it on my bucket. on my
I hope
bucket
you put it on everybody's brain.
It's on my bucket list.
Yeah,
It's on my bucket list. Hey man, so again, I'm gonna refer to my producer Avis J. Savista.
Right.
He talked about DavidBanner.com.
Right.
Make sure you tell people to go to David Banner. He was telling me, make sure you tell the folks, go to DavidBanner.com.
Right.
What they gonna find there? Why should they? How come Avis is right in saying that?
Well, right now they're gonna find a lot of clothes, a lot of things. I'll tell you, I created those God boxes, and I think it was like the bass player from Earth, Wind, and Fire, if I'm correct.
Oh wow.
He changed his religion because of one of those God boxes. It was the God box. The actual box was like a consciousness starter kit.
Yeah.
Like I put the things in there from the Broader Files. Was the most important thing for me because that was the book that introduced me to consciousness and Anthony Broader. I'm gonna tell you all something. People like Anthony Broader, people that had that type of influence on a person's life, they're usually dead before you're born.
Yeah.
Like Malcolm was probably single-handedly the person who had the most effect on me as far as a person who walked this earth, right? Mm-hmm. He was dead before I was born. Mm-hmm. I didn't have the opportunity to meet him.
Sure.
My father and Anthony Broader probably come in a close second, you know, besides those spiritual things that we believe in.
Sure.
I can call him.
Yeah.
I can tap in and talk to him. I literally wanted to choke my biological father. I've never met him before. I had this vendetta for him.
Yeah.
He threatened my life when I was 8 months. And I just always wanted to go and see him and ask him how that's working now.
Yeah.
You know, and he said something so powerful to me.
He
Anthony
and
Broader.
Mm-hmm.
He said, in what I believe in spiritually, that there's two very specific things that can make one thing. And so he said there's a man and a woman, and two very specific people can only make that person that you are, right? He said, so what if his only purpose for existing was to give you that gene pool that you received from him? And it blew my mind because my biological father played 11 instruments. I've never really, with the exception of some guitar lessons and, you know, a few drum lessons, I've never been classically trained, and I've done 70, 80 major groups from Quincy Jones, you know, Chris Brown, T.I., Lil Wayne, it goes on and on and on, Maroon 5, all of these people, and I've never been classically trained in music. So if that was the blessing that he gave me, then that's fine. And he's released. He's done his job from a spiritual standpoint. So like to have somebody like that to be able to be a spiritual father, to be a brother, to be a friend, I wanted to pass that on through those God boxes. So that's part of what you'll get on DavidBanner.com. It's funny, the minister does that to me. The minister will talk to you and will go way over there.
Yeah.
And bring it all
Yes, it
the
will.
way back around and bust your head.
Yes,
so
it will.
That's what you'll get on DavidBanner.com, and you also get an opportunity to sign up for the list where we can get back in contact with you.
You know, sitting in Sirte, Libya, with the minister, me,
Right.
sitting with the minister, and he was talking about how our infinitesimal intellect is compared to God. So we can't and don't comprehend. And he was talking about something real. He was talking about the criticism that came. He was giving an example. of our understanding versus the universal force. Mm-hmm. And he talked about how a man had an illegitimate child. Mm-hmm. He talked about his mother, mm-hmm. who, in her best ability, decided to make a decision to abort him. That's what she thought was best for herself, for her family, and everyone involved. Her 3 attempts at aborting him did not work.
Wow.
This is the man that God gave something to bring more than 1 million people to the nation's capital on October the 16th, 1995.
I was one of those people.
And to have so much impact on doing what his teacher, Elijah Muhammad, had done, cleaning up women from the street, mm-hmm. straightening up winos and junkies, car thieves, wife abusers, and all of the rest. Mm-hmm. And so the question, he was talking about her, and he was talking about one of Elijah Muhammad's children, mm-hmm. quote unquote, illegitimate mm-hmm. children, who was having such a positive impact on hundreds and thousands of people today. Mm-hmm. So if ever there was an explanation about we are not worthy to judge, mm-hmm. I just had to say that, man, because you just talked about the minister going around and bringing it back and busting you in the head.
There's a MC out of Jackson, Mississippi. His name is Cope Boomaye. And he told me something. He listened to the God Box, and he said, Banner, you cannot worry about some of the potential criticism that you may get over this album. He said, because if people don't allow you to go back, he said, then you miss the opportunities to connect with the new generation and those that you missed the first time that you came through. So if it's funny how we will talk about other people and say how great they are. We'll talk about Harriet Tubman, or we'll talk about Jesus, and when somebody does a quarter of what they do, we'll throw them on the cross. You know, if they go in churches and start flipping over tables, what's wrong? You know? And when you have people that go back and actually connect with the community the way that they're supposed to, like, we allow them to be crucified. And in some ways, we crucify them with violence. You know what I'm saying? And for me, one of the things that I say that I'm grateful for, and I want to thank all of my followers, all of my supporters, all of the haters, everybody, is that I'm one of the few people that our people allowed to grow up. I grew up in front of the cameras. I became conscious in front of the cameras. I evolved. I made mistakes right here in the streets of DC. I went to jail, you know, because of my anger. And although I wasn't wrong about what I did, losing my poise, allowing people to take me off of my center, those cops could have done something. They would have been justified by their laws. Because you know, in DC, it's a crazy thing that if you pull away from an officer, that's considered assault here. Yeah. I didn't know that. So imagine what they're doing to black kids who don't know about those types of laws. You know, the type of time, I have some money. So I was able to, you know, get through that process. I won't say easy, but I was able to really get through that process because I have some bread. But I couldn't imagine what they're doing to young men and women here. Just, you know, it's natural for somebody to grab you, for you to pull away.
Get your hand off me.
You know, so these are what we were talking about. These are the kind of laws that these people are passing to keep our folks inside a system that was built upon slavery. And incarceration is their legalized slavery, you know, so.
Man, what you just did is you gave heartfelt gratitude for people that care about you to allow you to grow up, as you said, on camera.
Yeah.
Gratitude, as I have learned, that gratitude is what opens the door to abundance. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's a better way to end this show than your being and expressing that heartfelt gratitude. And brother, I'm grateful for you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much,
it,
David
man.
Banner,
Bless you.
for coming here once again.
Thank y'all, man.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Folks, tell your friends to watch this, share it. What am I doing, Avis? I don't do this well. Share this program, subscribe, and like it. We like and love you. See you the next time.
Peace.